Ladies and gentlemen, what is up? A question that comes up often is people want to know, what it's like to be an entrepreneur, and there's quite a few myths out there. I'll go through those right now. The first one is people seem to think that you're rolling in bucks deluxe, like you're rich beyond belief, you've got unlimited resources. I know when I go out with some friends of mine that aren't entrepreneurs and the bill comes up, a few of them jokingly will be like, well, Rich will take care of it because he's loaded. And the truth of the matter is, I know many entrepreneurs that sometimes struggle to make payroll. I know a lot of business owners that just aren't rich. They're doing it for the outcome and the little dent in the universe, and not so much for the income. That being said, there are some highly profitable businesses out there that do well, that pay the business owner quite well, but not every business owner out there has got a room in their house with cash that they can roll around in, and they've got unlimited resources. The truth of the matter is, most of them are probably struggling. I know personally myself, I've gone through periods in my business in the last 12 years where I've had to actually lower my income so we could get through that tough stretch, so that pivot that we were going through had enough cash, and I would have been the lowest paid employee in the business. So it's simply not true that entrepreneurs are only in it for the income. They're often only in it for the outcome. Another myth is that we don't work that much. You may not see us in the office as much as the employees are in the office, but we work 24/7. We're working at 3 o'clock in the morning when we wake up because we can't fucking sleep because we're trying to solve some sort of problem, and we're sitting there with a notepad writing down ideas or making a note in our Evernote on our tablet or our phone. I've seen friends of mine that have posted on Facebook that 2 o'clock in the morning they're driving into the office. I'm talking about you, Jason, if you're watching this, and because they're excited about getting something done that's really important and time sensitive. So don't think for a minute that entrepreneurs don't work much. There are times in our lives where we might have the luxury of being able to take time off or being able to work remotely, but we're working 24/7. We're working almost all the time. The only time that we're really not thinking about work or solving any problems is when we're dead asleep or maybe having some sex, and that's about it, if I'm being honest. Another one that I find really funny, Canada is just a different place in the world. It's more of a socialist sort of environment where people say, oh, well, you don't pay a lot in taxes, or they think that business owners or entrepreneurs pay next to nothing in taxes. And that could not be further from the truth. I've been in business 12, 15 years now, roughly, and I've probably paid enough in taxes to pave a highway across Toronto, myself personally, and my company as well. When you're an employer, you've got these source deductions for the government personally, and of course for the company, and at certain margins of revenue, you start paying new taxes. So most people in the world that are watching this know Canada has a healthcare system. Well, the money to pay for healthcare, it doesn't come from sales tax and random things like that. A lot of the money that comes out to pay for healthcare, so people can go to the doctor in the hospital and be looked after properly, come from employers. There's an employer health tax, EHT it's called, and after a certain line in the sand, you're paying that to the government. So there's all kinds of taxes and deductions that the government forces you to make off yourself personally, and or off the employees or off the company in profit, that go directly to the government. And there's a shitload of taxes that are paid. It's just a fact of life. Companies and employers will pay a shitload of money. One of my favorites is when people go, oh, well, can't you just write it off? No, you just can't write it off. You just can't go and buy something and fucking write it off and have the company pay for it. For client meals and entertainment, for example, you can write off 50%. Okay, so if I'm meeting with a business partner, a potential client, a whatever, you can only write off 50% of that, even though it's basically like a working lunch and you're having a meal. You're only able to write off half of that. As far as a vehicle goes, you can't write off a vehicle. You've got to demonstrate that you're on a business trip going somewhere. Like I can't write off my trip from my house to the office. if I'm going from the office to a lunch meeting, for example, the kilometers that I travel then, the wear and tear on the vehicle then personally, I can get a little bit of a write-off then, but there's really nothing in it as far as profit. Or people say, well, you can just go and buy something and write it off, or can't you just go and buy like a TV and write it off? No, you can't. It's got to be something directly used for business operation and expense. You just can't go and buy shit and write it off. It's not factual. It's not true. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you got anything I might have missed that leaps out in your mind, you're an entrepreneur, throw it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.